Hey all, Steve from GuitarNiche here. I have a Martin in a bag. Why? Well, because it has issues. And we'll get to that. We'll get to the explanation and what we're going to do about fixing the problems it has. But first, I'm going to say welcome. If you're new to the channel, appreciate the eyeballs. Hi. Okay. And yeah, we'll get on with the show and see how we got here. Relatively recent vintage Martin DC-X2. Okay, when I say recent vintage, I mean it's only 2-3 years old. I set this up 4 months ago, which would have been the beginning of October. But because we live in a northern climate here in my part of the world, North America, we have something called winter, which is not friendly to acoustic instruments unless you take certain considerations. So what has happened is the instrument has changed considerably. You can probably see and hear. There's some fret sprout there, okay? Not only that, there's ridiculously low action. I mean, it's this. So what we have is a situation where the neck joint has changed, and yeah, we're instead of just going at it and taking off the fret sprout and readjusting the saddle and all that stuff, the underlying issue is it's over dry. The owner knows, he's not taking care of his toy, so we're going to help him out, of course. And again, we have to address the underlying issue, which is a lack of moisture. If I fully rehydrate this, which is the underlying issue, and then it goes back out into the wild, well, it's just going to shrink back. What I'm going to try to do, or what I will do, is stabilize it. I want to reintroduce some moisture to the point where it can get through the next seasonal change without too much issue. So this is somewhat of a calculated process. Gratefully, wonderfully, the top hasn't split. There's a little bit of a belly here. That is insanely low. Okay, I have the tapered edge of my tongue depressor here. That measures. That's about 0.025 inches, or roughly the width of a 3rd or 4th string, which is insanely low. First things first, we got to get a hydrator in there. So I'm going to dump the strings. What am I going to use for rehydration? What tool? A cup, paper cup, full holes, and a couple pieces of paper towel. And to that, I'm going to add literally just a few drops of water, okay? And pop that in the sound hole. Okay, now why is such a small amount? Because we want to do this slowly. Wood is it's not just going to go and suck up the moisture. It's going to creep in over a period of time. Likewise, I have 2 others that I'm going to use as well. And they have been already primed. I've got a couple drops already in there, but I'm going to give those a couple more. Okay, just like so. Next step is a bag. This is just a leftover bag. I'm going to leave the strings not fully slack. I'm going to give them a little bit of tension. Certainly not up to pitch. There's no major surprises when the instrument gets fully under compression again. So think of it like a loaded spring, We're going to try to control it, okay? Yeah, just a tiny little bit of tension on that. And then we'll pop these 2 in here. And we'll snug this plug it up. So we have one in the sound hole and two around the neck joint area. Now, you might be thinking, well, why not just do it in the case? Well, you know, you could, but this is just more effective for monitoring and stuff. And I'm not going to put a plug over the sound hole because I want moisture to work the entire atmosphere within this microenvironment. I don't want to get all the air out of there because, you know, there has to be some circulation, you know. Okay, and that should do. Wrap that up. We'll let this sit for a day or so, check it. We'll bring it back up to pitch, of course, and see what kind of condition the instrument's in. We'll check the belly, check the height at the 12th fret to see how it's faring, and away we go. 24 hours, so this is literally the next day. Oh boy, these things dried out. What do we have going on? This thing is bone dry. No moisture in that. I can't feel anything. This thing has sucked up every drop of moisture we can give it in the last day. Still got a belly. How about our action? Right there. Okay. So that's our thickness. That is 36 or so. So the point is, it's come up. There's still some nastiness going on down here. What we're going to have to do, we'll rehydrate these humidifiers. Just a few drops of water as I did originally. And pop them back in, bag it up for another day, another 24 hours. Check it again, see if it's coming along. Day 3 in our rehydration process. So let's see where we're gonna wind up. Just for starters, teeny tiny little bit of dampness, but still pretty dry, but not like popcorn dry. The fret sprout has shrunken back quite a bit, actually. It'll never go away. Once a neck shrinks back, it never, let me put it this way. A neck, from 100%, it will shrink back to whatever that minimal measurement is. And you try to rehydrate it, it will never get to fully 100% of where it was. It'll always have a shortcoming, which means dealing with the frets, okay? But it's all part of that process where an instrument going through seasonal and climatic changes, think of it like a pendulum. The instrument goes from cold and dry to warm and damp, cold and dry to warm and damp. And if you stay on top of it with good maintenance and good service, that swing will minimize so that the instrument will be much more stable throughout the yearly cycle. Now, how are we doing down here? That's actually quite a bit better. Still got a good belly there, but it's not nearly as distorted as it was before. Get a real quick measurement. I'll tell you right now, this is like already way better than it was. That's great. It's not where it's supposed to be by any means, but it's a lot better than it was. 39 thou. I'm going to put the hydrators back in for one more day with less water, say half the amount of water that I've been using, because we're right at the edge of what I would consider a stable environment for the instrument. I want to keep the instrument from getting overhydrated and then it goes out, it's back into a super dry environment, and it comes back a week later all messed up again, or a couple weeks, whatever, you know what I mean. I've got my mark from yesterday. Let's see if we have any significant change there. Close to 50. So obviously things are having an effect. The cupping is slightly reduced. Although I doubt that that will ever come back to exactly what it was. You know. Fret sprout, nicely reduced. Not gone, but definitely less than it was. And our humidifiers are dry. Holy mackerel. This thing is just sucking up the moisture. It dried out. I'm really quite amazed. That's dry as a bone. This one feels a little bit damp, but no, not really. Well, maybe just a touch, but dry. Dry, 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 dry. So once again, I'm going to go light, just a few drops of water on the humidifiers, and we're going to leave it for another day. I pulled out the homemade humidifiers here, and they are once again dry, dry, dry. But maybe not as dry as they could be, but still very dry. This is one of these processes that just takes as long as it takes. Simple as that. Do we want to put a bridge doctor in there? No. No. I'm going to try everything I can to get the instrument back to, revive it to its normal state without having to resort to an internal truss. Simple as that. Okay? If it's all due to a lack of moisture, then humidify it. Compared to what it was over the last few days, that's a very, very good sign. And just eyeballing it, I'm going, that's actually looking pretty normal. So our process is working, but we're gonna see what we see. The relief is almost the thickness of the tongue depressor itself. 55, 56 thou. And the thickness of our tongue depressor is almost 60 thou, 59 thou. Okay, so we are getting very, very close. 3/64 or so in the ballpark. Yeah, so we're like in the ballpark of reasonable, well, it's low action. But we can also use our handy dandy MusicNomad gauge here, which I find is actually pretty good. You know, the contrast in this unit comes in very handy for just being able to read things easier. Plus it has all the markings on it to cross-reference different values of measurement, 64s, millimeters, that sort of thing, thousandths, and verify. Yeah, we're just under 0.006. Anyway, this is agreeing with my other method of measuring string height. We're definitely in the range of low action for this guitar, which is all great. So all these signs are pointing in exactly the right direction. And the fret sprout is minimal. It's there, but it's not nearly what it was. But it's still there, just very, very, very small amount. Because I want this thing to be stabilized, I'm going to bag it for one more day and see how that works. Call it intuition, call it what you want, but we're so close to it being where it was when it was in 4 months ago. I want to get it as close to that condition as possible. Now, what is the condition of the humidifiers? Well, they are still ever so slightly damp. This one is definitely still has some moisture in it. It's just obvious. I think it got caught under the instrument. No big loss. What I'm interested in is the condition of the situation. And cupping is still there, obviously. Belly is still there, but I think I remember this coming in with a pretty fair amount of bellying to begin with. Well, I think I'm going to go one more day with minimal moisture. The relation of the neck to the body, where it sits, is actually really good. Anyway, we'll get it bagged up and we'll try it again. One more day. First thing I noticed when I took it out of the bag was it sounded better. And I measured a reference point, the 12th fret of the 4/64 roughly, and 0.070 inches. We're going to call it a day. The next step is to simply finish, putting a fresh set of strings on it and getting it back into the owner's hands. So, it should be fine. The fret sprout is nearly gone, and compared to the last few days, you can hear it, but it's not like it was. Nowhere near like it was, but I have to throw this out there. The instrument is going to wind up in a state of dryness as soon as it leaves my hands. I want to try to anticipate a minimalization of that contraction. But this instrument was actually featured in another video where I used a magic eraser to get rid of some junk on the top here. It looks just as good as it did when it left after cleaning. It's still very, very nice. It has been sitting without any hydration or anything like that, so it's been stabilizing for the last couple days. I put my straight edge on the fretboard, straightened out the neck. Fretboard is dead straight. And guess what? Frets are awesome. I couldn't find any rocking or anything. There's fall away up here, but still a little bit of belly down here, a little bit of cupping. But the geometry of the instrument is back to where it was. The only thing that I have to deal with is a little bit of fret sprout. So here we are. It came right back to where it was a few months ago. Plays great, plays just like it did, And this is the power of rehydration. Moreover, the most important thing is, girls and boys, take care of your toys. Otherwise, you got to pay me to fix them. Then, not that I don't mind the work, but... Anyway, thanks for coming out. As always, like and subscribe. Play loud, have fun, have a great day.